inaugural address. We are all eagerly waiting to hear you, sir. Thank you.
Respected Sri Maiman Matthew, Chief Editor Malayalam Manorama, Sri Jacob Matthew, Managing Editor, Sri Jayant Matthew, Executive Editor, Sri Harsh Matthew, Chief Resident Editor, the members of Malayalam Manorama group present at this conclave, and my brothers and sisters. Namaskaram. At the outset, I would also want to offer my heartfelt condolences to the bereaved families who lost their loved ones during the tragic landslide in Wayanad. It was indeed a massive tragedy, and I pray that the people affected by this tragedy may recover from this grief and sense of loss. At the same time, we should offer our gratitude to the brave warriors of the armed forces, NDRF, SDRF, other central and state government agencies who worked tirelessly to provide immediate rescue and relief to the disaster-affected families. Friends, I thank Mr. Maiman Matthew, Mr. Jayant Matthew, and their entire team for inviting me to this news conclave organized by the Manorama News Channel in Malayalam Manorama Group. Every year, many conclaves are organized by various news channels and media houses in Delhi. I am invited to these events, but it becomes difficult to attend them due to paucity of time. But when Jayanji invited me to attend this program in Thiruvananthapuram, I agreed to attend it, despite it being scheduled outside Delhi. Because Malayalam Manorama Group is not just a media group, it is an institution in itself. It is like family to me. Malayalam Manorama Group, Verumuru Media Group, Alya, Aturu Prasthanam, Tanneyanu, Thenikya, Yata Kutumbakam, Tanne Yanu. Friends, I have had a feeling of respect and admiration for this institution ever since I came in contact with this group. This is why, despite this program being scheduled far away from Delhi, I am present amongst you today in this conclave. Friends, as you know, media plays an important role in a democracy. Like the legislature and the executive branches, media is also an important pillar of democracy, which gives the voice to the people. At media platforms, both news and analysis are needed. It is this platform where the exchange of ideas takes place. Malayalam Manorama Publication Group is one of the most prestigious, largest and oldest media groups in our country. It is well known that Malayalam Manorama, The Week and Manorama Yearbook are among the best-selling and most-selling publications in the country. Brothers and sisters, year after year, Malayalam Manorama has recorded growth in terms of circulation. It has not only established itself as a credible brand, but has also maintained that credibility. This is no ordinary feat. I congratulate the Malayalam Manorama Publications Group for this achievement. The theme of today's conclave is change makers. I believe that the biggest reality of today's India is the change. Today, people can see and feel India changing in a positive direction, and all of us are witnessing this positive and epochal changes. Friends, it is said that the change is the only constant. Although this was said centuries ago, it is as relevant today as it was 2,500 years ago. Just like backwater rots, a stagnant country and society also get surrounded by many problems. Our country has witnessed many epochal changes in the last 10 years, from economic reforms to major social transformations, from cultural revival to significant political changes. India has witnessed major changes in the last 10 years. The citizens of our country have played the most important role in this change along with the government. Friends, before Sri Narendra Modi ji became the Prime Minister in 2014, the country was standing at a crossroads. Before 2014, there was a feeling of despair and disenchantment among the people of India. Something new and good seemed like a distant dream. When Sri Narendra Modi became the Prime Minister, he was able to see and understand this feeling of despair and disenchantment. Without wasting time, he started working to bring positive changes in the lives of Indians. It is usually seen that when a new government comes to power, it focuses on big things alone, but he started paying attention to small things also. You all must remember when Modi ji spoke about cleanliness in his first Independence Day speech as a Prime Minister. Many were surprised that why he was talking about cleanliness on such a special occasion. He had said that every Indian needs to be Shramdan for cleanliness. He led by example. He picked up the broom and started the revolution of Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. The entire country followed him and the path shown by him. Wherever possible, everyone moved towards making India clean. This was a momentous behavioral change, and this was proof of the awakening of collective consciousness in India. In the same speech on Independence Day, he promised to provide toilet facilities in every household to end open defecation. This was to ensure not just the good health and hygiene of citizens, but also women's safety and dignity of life. Since 2014, more than 11.70 crore household toilets have been built. Today, there is hardly any house in the country which doesn't have access to a toilet. Friends, you are aware that the nationalization of bank took place in 1969. Several decades had passed since, and many poor and marginalized people didn't have bank accounts. Then our government came up with Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana. It changed the meaning of banking for the poor in the country. On 20th August, the scheme has successfully completed 10 years since inception. Earlier, common people, especially poor and a marginalized section of society, had to stand for hours in queues at banks to get their accounts opened. But during the last 10 years, the banks went to the poor and opened their accounts. Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana was an extensive outreach program where bank officials went to the remotest parts of the country to open accounts for the people who were not part of the formal banking system. And the result of this initiative has been phenomenal, as 53 crore Jan Dhan accounts have been opened in the last 10 years. These accounts have more than 2,30,000 crore as deposits, although they are supposed to be zero balance account. This is the kind of confidence poor people have shown in Jan Dhan Yojana. Our government started different campaigns to fulfill the basic needs and necessities of the citizens. For example, even after 7 decades of independence, there were about 18,000 villages in the country where the facility of electricity was elusive. Today in India, we will hardly find a village which has not been electrified. There was a time when the gender ratio in the country was deteriorating rapidly, and in a state like Haryana, it was reaching a dangerous level. Our government resolved to change this situation, and PM Modi started the Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao campaign from Haryana. Gradually, this turned over a new leaf. Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao scheme helped in improving the gender ratio as well as ensured women empowerment. Today, Indian women are playing an active role in every sphere. The development paradigm today is not only women's development, but also women-led development. The government has brought the historic Nari Shakti Bandhan Adhiniyam, which paves the way for 33% reservation for women in parliament and state legislatures. Friends, after independence, women were denied agency and opportunity to be active contributors to the development of this country. But the situation is now rapidly changing. For example, you can see that the share of women is increasing in the armed forces of the country. When I was the Minister of Home Affairs, I issued an advisory to all the states to fill up 1/3 vacancies with women in the security forces. Today, the participation of women has increased in all police forces and the paramilitary forces. Now, many obstacles to the entry of women into the armed forces have been removed. In all three wings of the armed forces, we have ensured increased prestigious military training institutes. The National Defense Academy has also been opened for women, first time, and you will be surprised to know that now hundreds of thousands of young girls participate in the NDA entrance exam for all over the country. Friends, for a long time, women of the country were looking forward to get a permanent commission. Now the permanent commission for women in the armed forces has been allowed. The Army has decided that eligible and meritorious women officers will be given a permanent commission, and what can be a better example of women's empowerment than this? Friends, today our government is marching ahead with the vision of women empowerment and women-led development. This is not just a slogan for us. We have taken concrete steps towards this. Our commitment is showing results, and women empowerment is a reality today. Women's health, women's safety, women's welfare are a priority for us. We have taken many steps to ensure these. In the last 10 years, many schemes have been started where women's issues are at focus. Also, we have ensured that capabilities and talent are harnessed for the development of the nation. The practice of triple talaq was a big issue for our Muslim sisters and daughters. In our country, ending a sacred institution like marriage by simply saying talaq 3 times could not be justified in any way, but this was practiced unabated and unchallenged. Our government showed the will and determination to end this evil practice, and this came as a big relief to Muslim women. Friends, considering the atrocities and the crimes against the women in the country, despite all the changes, it seems that a lot remains to be done. Our government has adopted a strict attitude towards crimes against women, but many states are not making sincere efforts in this direction. The recent heart-wrenching incident in Kolkata is very tragic and disgraceful. Friends, we have amended the law to provide for the capital punishment for heinous crime like rape. This law should be implemented with strictness. Friends, when we think of change, I believe that the biggest change that has come in the last 10 years is in the governance and the government's approach, perspective, and attitude towards it. Before 2014, citizens had accepted that any leader could not bring any change in the governance of our country. After witnessing 10 years of our government, people believe that a leader with the right intention and a strong willpower can bring immense positive changes. In the last decade, we have given priority to good governance. We have changed in the casual and perfunctory approach towards governance. If we see the policy making of our government as a whole, we will see some foundational principles in it. Those principles are stability, consistency, and continuity. Every policy and program of our government is founded on these principles to ensure good governance. It is said that when the efficacy and efficiency of a government are to be judged, see how it performs in a crisis. During the COVID-19 pandemic, every government in the world was tested, and many governments failed miserably. During COVID-19 pandemic, no one had any idea how to deal with the dual challenge that Corona was presenting for human lives and the economy also. Our government did exceptional work during the pandemic. Our government ensured that life-saving resources and medicines were timely and promptly available. During lockdown, the government ensured food security by making the free-of-cost ration available for the poor. Then the Made in India vaccines were taken as a priority. We ensured the availability of these vaccines to each citizen promptly without any delay. Our government addressed the trifecta of challenges related to health, wealth, and livelihood. The government sent money directly to women's bank account. Financial help was given to street vendors and MSMEs. Agriculture sector's support was given to farmers to ensure that they did not face any difficulty. Friends, during the pandemic, many other countries were forced into making decisions where the negative after effects on the economy were huge. But we resolved to turn adversity into an opportunity. Our government made decisions with prudence, courage, and skill. And the results which came out were appreciated by the whole world. The same policies which were being questioned were lauded and commended. Today, when other economies are struggling, the Indian economy is more resilient and in a better position and growing at a good pace. Friends, India's economy has undergone unprecedented changes. Before 2014, India's economy was among the fragile five. Today, it is being recognized all over the world as one of the fabulous five. The Indian economy has become one of the fastest growing major economies today. During the last fiscal year, India's economic growth rate was 8.2%. It was more than the previous financial year's growth rate of 7%. It is also better than the projections and estimates of many economic experts and agencies. For 2 consecutive years, India has been the fastest growing economy out of all the world's major economies. According to the estimates of domestic and foreign agencies, this will continue in the year 2024-25 as well. In the last 10 years, India has become the 5th largest economy from the 11th largest economy. Morgan Stanley estimates show that India will become the third largest economy in the world by 2027. All the developed countries of the world, including America, had to go through a bad phase of inflation. But despite the fast pace of growth, inflation is well under control in India. Recent data released in July show that the retail inflation rate has been recorded at 3.54%, the lowest in the last 5 years. Friends, the work speed in the country has increased manifold. To ensure ease of doing business, more than 40,000 compliances have either been scrapped or simplified. Whereas earlier it used to take 600 days to get environmental clearances, it now takes less than 75 days. Before 2014, the number of startups used to be less than 1,000, approximately 500 to 600. Now it has increased to more than 1 lakh. Today, India is the third largest startup ecosystem in the world, and every 10th unicorn of the world is in India. Friends, India's startup ecosystem is expected to receive around $1 billion in new funding this year and 25% higher than last year. Now, India is the second largest manufacturer of mobile phones in the world. Mobile phone manufacturing has increased 5 times during the last decade. About 2 lakh gram panchayats in our country have been connected with optical fiber. You are aware of the fact that today almost every Indian city and town has 5G connectivity. Everyone is surprised by the speed with which it has expanded in just 2 years. The Vice President of renowned telecom company Ericsson has stated that India has left behind many European countries in the 5G rollout. Today, India has the highest number of the 5G users after China and America. While 5G connectivity is now being rolled out in the rural areas of India, our government started to work towards bringing 6G to the country. Friends, I remember when our Prime Minister talked about promoting Digital India and the digital transactions, a senior minister in the UPA government had publicly said that the Indians were not ready to do digital transactions. Today, the entire scenario has been changed. It is a fact that almost half of the real-time digital transactions happening in the rest of the world today happen in India alone. In the last fiscal year, 2023-24, there were almost 131 billion UPI transactions in India. In July 2024, for the third consecutive month, transactions worth rupee 20 lakh crore have taken place. The digital revolution in India has strengthened the economy, as held by United Nations General Assembly President Denis Francis. This is not my statement, but the Mr. United Nations General Assembly President Denis Francis. In his address to the 78th session of the United Nations General Assembly, he told the mobile revolution in India has brought 80 crore people out of poverty. Under the leadership of Modi ji, the government has increased the digital infrastructure also. With the help of the GeM Trinity, the delivery system in India has not only changed but has been completely transformed. With the help of new technology, the government has transparently identified the right beneficiaries and provided the benefits of every scheme to citizens without any discrimination. Friends, you will be surprised to know that for a long time, there was about 10 crore fake beneficiaries in records. Some beneficiaries were never born. 10 crore such fake names were removed from the records. Direct benefit transfer scheme was started. It has made certain that every single penny reaches directly to the bank accounts of the right beneficiaries. Direct benefit transfer scheme has resulted in saving. Again, I would like to repeat again, direct benefit transfer scheme has resulted in saving about rupee 3 lakh crore from falling into the wrong hands. Friends, under the leadership of the Prime Minister Modi, our work ethic has also changed. Our speed and scale have increased. If I ask you, how do you set targets in your organization? Generally, people set their targets keeping in mind the achievements of last year. For example, if earlier they were at 10, now they will go to 12, 14, 16. If there is a growth of 8 to 10%, then it is considered good. This is what I call the cause of incremental thinking. We decided that we have to work at a much faster speed and on a much larger scale than the previous governments. And today, the world is seeing its results. There are many sectors where the work done in the last 10 years is manifold, more than the work done in the last 70 years. That is, 7 decades of work is less than that done in the last decade. For example, before the year 2014, about 20,000 kilometers of railway line were electrified, whereas in 10 years of our government, we have electrified more than 40,000 kilometers of railway lines. During the almost 7 decades before 2014, around 18,000 kilometers of 4 or more lane national highways were built. In the 10 years, we have built around 30,000 kilometers of such highways. Just think about it for a moment. 18,000 kilometers in almost 70 years and 30,000 kilometers in just 10 years. If we had continued to work with the same old incremental thinking, then the outcome would have been the same as that of the previous governments. In the decades since independence till 2014, less than 250 kilometers of metro rail network was constructed in India, and in the last 10 years, more than 650 kilometers of new metro rail network has been built. Till 2014, 3.5 crore families in India had tap water connections. In the year 2019, Prime Minister Modi ji started the Jal Jeevan Mission. Since then, tap water connections have been provided to more than 12 crore households in the rural areas of India. Friends, India is a welfare state. It is our priority to make the lives of citizens easier and to improve their quality of life. Naturally, we made new schemes, but we also ensured that the benefits of these schemes reached every eligible beneficiary. As soon as we formed the government in 2014, we started working in mission mode to end poverty. The result is in front of us. In the last 10 years, 25 crore people have come out of poverty. These figures by Niti Aayog depict the rapidly changing situation in this country. This is not a small achievement. Many political leaders and the prime ministers have talked about eradicating poverty. Some of them ruled this country for long, but poverty was not eradicated. For the first time in the history of India, poverty eradication has happened in a defined manner. The people of the country has shown their trust by mandating the third term to our government. Friends, 4 things were always kept in mind by our government. First, productive expenditure in the form of the highest capital expenditure. Second, unprecedented investment in welfare schemes. Third, end of wasteful expenditure. And fourth, financial discipline. We firmly believe that we should invest not only in the present, but also in the future of the country. Our mantra has been that money saved is money earned. For example, we have saved a lot of completing projects on time. Previously, between laying the foundation stone of a project and its inauguration, governments used to change. For the first time in this country, such a government has come which is not only ensuring the completion of old important projects, but also completing the new ones in mandated minimum time. Let me give you an example. The Eastern Dedicated Front Corridor project was started in 2008. If the previous government would have timely finished this project, its cost would have been approximately 16,500 crore. But by the time it was completed, the cost increased to more than rupees 50,000 crore. Bogeyville Bridge of Assam also has the same story. The project was started in the year 1998 with an estimated cost of rupees 1,100 crore. No previous government could finish this project. We completed its work in 2018, but the cost has already increased to 5,000 crores. There are many such examples. The taxpayers' money had no value in the eyes of the previous government. We changed this thinking. Friends, completing projects in a time-bound manner has become an identity of our government. Even P. Chidambaram, who was the finance minister in the previous government, accepts this feat and considers this is a big success story of this government. Friends, the first condition for a strong economy is that it should be self-reliant in every sector. There were many sectors which were neglected. Let us take the defense sector up. For example, in the 1960s, fighter aircraft Marut and MBT Vijayanta were being made in India, but despite of this, India couldn't create a production base and a strong ecosystem for defense equipment and defense-related research and development. And due to this, defense imports were really relied upon for a long time to meet our growing defense needs. The situation now changed after 2014, when the work of making the defense sector self-reliant started. There was a time when about 65 to 70% of defense equipment was being imported in the country. Today, this has changed. Now, only 35% of defense equipment is being imported. The remaining 65% of the equipment is being manufactured in India by Indians. Apart from this, now we are also exporting defense equipment made in India. Apart from this, now we are also exporting defense equipment made in India. In the year 23-24, India's defense export has increased rupee 21,000 crore. Our target is to increase defense exports up to 50,000 crore by 2029. The priorities, the positive indigenization list includes items and products which will not be imported and only be made in India and by the Indians. Positive indigenization list of 509 items by the armed forces and 5,012 ite by defense PSUs have been released. Defense production of our country has crossed rupees 1,27,000 crore. Our target is to reach 1.7 lakh crores in this fiscal year. By 2029, we want to achieve 3 lakh crore worth of defense production in India. To enhance the manufacturing capacity in the defense sector, 2 industrial corridors were set up, one in Uttar Pradesh and the other in your neighboring state, Tamil Nadu. And You all will be glad to know that the government is providing many support measures for industry to establish base in the two corridors. Today, the world sees India in a different light. India's stature and the respect of our country have increased in the whole world. Recently, Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi was on a visit in Ukraine. A few days ago, he also went to Russia. He is the only leader in the world who is listened to by both Russia and Ukraine, who are at war with each other. Not only this, but when he was in Ukraine, Russia again stopped the attacks on Ukraine. During this time, I was also on a visit to America. Earlier, America was not ready to join hands with India on matters related to defense. Today, both the countries have signed many defense cooperations related documents. This is the change I have been talking about. You will be happy to know that we have made remarkable progress in our engine making capabilities. Now GE 414 engines will be made in India. During my visit to US, I had fruitful discussions with the US companies, and they are excited to join Make in India program. Today, India has become the biggest voice of the global South. Every country considers and listens to Indians' opinions on significant issues. Earlier, when the Prime Minister of the country used to visit other countries, India didn't get the respect it should have gotten. Recently, when Modi ji went on a visit to Russia, President Vladimir Putin himself bestowed upon him Russia's highest civilian honor. With this, Russia has joined the 16 countries that have given their country's highest civilian honor to India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi. These countries also include Muslim countries like UAE, Saudi Arabia, Afghanistan, Maldives, and Bahrain also. Friends, in the last 10 years, the respect for India and Indians has increased all over the world. Today, the world's top leaders praise our Prime Minister. Some call him the boss, some call him a great leader. We have seen a scene when the president of a country even touched his feet out of respect. There is no sector left where there has not been positive change in the last 10 years. If I talk about all the significant changes of last 10 years, it might take more than a day. The things I discussed are just a trailer. And I would like to mention here a statement given by the ambassador of the America to India, Mr. Garcetti. He told, if we want to see the future, come to India. If you want to feel the future, come to India. If you want to work on future, come to India. This is not my statement, but this is the statement of the American ambassador, Mr. Garcetti. Friends, the last 10 years will go down in history as the decade of change. And our Prime Minister and our government will always be recognized as the biggest change makers. Finally, I just want to say that India is on the cusp of major changes, a change which will usher India into an age of unprecedented development, prosperity, social harmony, and growth. And the energy behind that will be the change makers, be it an individual and those in government or civil society. With these words, I once again thank Malayalam Manorama Media Group for inviting me to this event. Thank you very much. Nanni. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that insightful and